Arc 7 Counterattack of a Death Row Prisoner. Chapter 1. After so many instances of meeting and separating, then meeting and separating again, Yunsheng was already completely composed. Sharing the energy that erupted out of the other dimension, he quickly jumped into the next world. The surroundings were dark, with a strong smell of blood and rotten stench in the air. His body radiated burst after burst of sharp pain, as if all his bones were broken. Sheng struggled to turn his neck and found that he was in a prison cell. Opposite the cell door was a rack of blood-stained instruments of torture, indicating that the situation the original owner was in was very bad. He didn't rush to adjust the body's data. He just opened the AI to examine the original owner's details. This was another world where man, woman, and gear coexisted, and also a protagonist Gong and protagonist Cho double rebirth world. Before the rebirth, the protagonist Gong was Dayan country's incapable ruler. He only knew how to tax by force and enjoy luxuries, eventually forcing his own younger brother, Wang, to revolt and pin him with arrows. The protagonist Cho was a Ger, from a family of generals, master of the pen and the sword. He should have been fighting in the battlefield on behalf of the country, but because of his beauty, the incapable ruler forcefully brought him into the palace as an imperial concubine. However, the incapable ruler was surrounded by countless beauties, all of them extraordinary schemers. How could the no-nonsense protagonist Cho cope with them all? When they saw that the protagonist Cho was receiving more and more favor, they joined hands to deal with him, killing his 10-year-old son. After that, the protagonist Cho was rejected by the incapable ruler and lived alone in the cold palace for years, his heart dead. But although he didn't love the incapable ruler, he had a soldier's loyalty. When Wang seized the palace, he did not surrender and pledge allegiance like the other concubines. Instead, he broke through the siege while protecting the incapable ruler. But ultimately, while embracing each other, the two were shot by arrows and killed. Then they were both reborn. The slack Gong became a loyal dog Gong. The worthless Shou became an emotionless Shou. These two cannon fathers counterattacked everyone, and the plot became invigoratingly cool. But those who received the cannon fathers' counterattack suffered greatly. House raids, property seizing, and extermination of entire family lines was a common occurrence. The body belonged to the most tragic being. He was named Qi Xiu Xie, and he belonged to the richest and most influential family in Dayan country, the Qi family. He was also extremely beautiful and very favored by the incapable ruler. He even threatened that as long as he gave birth to a prince, that prince would immediately be established as the crown prince. Of course, that was all in the past, in the last life. When Shu Wang rebelled, the Qi family was the first among the influential families to surrender, and because of Qi Xiujie was beautiful, Xuan Wang took him into the harem, receiving favor for 2 consecutive dynasties. So after the incapable ruler was reborn, he had 2 major goals. One was to protect the protagonist Zhou and his child. The second was to eliminate Xuan Wang and Qi family. After 3 years of careful planning, Xuan Wang was executed by him, and the Qi family was uprooted. Now Qie Jie, who was lying in the prison cell, was the last one alive, and his execution day was tomorrow. After reading the information, Zhu Yunsheng let out a sigh of relief, then tucked his lips, bored. He always liked challenging the highest level difficulty, but Xiu Jie's hopeless situation wasn't really difficult for him. While he was pondering, a group of people slowly walked into the prison. At the head was an elderly man with an elegant temperament, followed by a harsh-looking man frowning tightly. It was Prince Li Jin, and Right Prime Minister Gao Lang. Presumably, they were responsible for interrogating Qi Qiuye. In the previous life, Prince Li Jin, was subject to suspicion and jealousy by the incapable ruler, Li Jintian, so he was abandoned and not used. He was an idle prince, and also the loving and supportive second male lead. If not for his frequent help, the protagonist Cho, Gao Min, wouldn't have lived so comfortably in the cold palace. In the past life, he also contributed to the rescue of Li Jiantian and Gao Min, so in this life, Li Jiantian assigned him important roles. He went from being an idle prince to an influential, powerful prince in Dayan country. Gao Lang was Gao Min's older brother. In the last life, he was killed in a scheme by the Qi family. In this life, the protagonist Shou saved him at the key moment. From then on, he held a deadly grudge against the Qi family. Because Li Jintian was deeply in love with Gao Min, the Gao family received very preferential treatment. In just 3 years, Gao Lang was frequently promoted, moving him up from a simple assistant minister in the Ministry of Works to second in command, the Right Prime Minister. He had a ruthless personality. Any small grudge would be remembered until the moment of death, let alone revenge for attempted murder. So when Qi Xiujie fell into his hands, he was inhumanly tortured. The Qi family was also slaughtered by his hands. Even the babies were not spared. So Shou Yunxiang had naturally already guessed Qie Jiujie's wish. It was sure to stay alive, then get revenge. The group walked up to the prison cell door. The attendant who followed behind Prince Li placed a food box on the floor. Inside was Xie Jiujie's last meal. "Why are you feeding him?" Gao Lang kicked open the food box, saw the relatively rich dishes inside, and glanced at Prince Li in dissatisfaction. "He is at death's door. Do not dwell on the past. Let him eat until he is full." Prince Li's temperament was gentle and benevolent. He was not at all offended by Gao Lang's disrespectful words and deeds. Gao Lang sneered. He kicked the food box over and ordered, "Come eat." The cell was a torture chamber. Due to the spilled blood over the years, the ground had a layer of dark brown, stinky filth. Gao Lang's actions were an insult towards Xu Qiejie. Zhu Yunsheng lowered his head to hide the killing intent in his eyes, cupping his hands towards Prince Li. "Please let this villain see the Emperor one last time, Your Highness. This villain has a confidential matter to tell His Majesty." "What confidential matter?" "Telling his minister is the same as telling him." Because of Li Jintian's unbridled favor, Gao Lang had long lost the humbleness courtiers should have. Prince Li glanced at him, his thoughts unknown. Zhu Yunsheng gave a contemptuous smile and retorted, "This matter involves the country's throne, so I need to talk to His Majesty personally. Minister Gao, your status, no matter how high, can you replace the Emperor?" In Dayan country, who would dare to say that they could replace the Emperor? Is that not a rebellion? Xuan Wang's death, hacked to pieces, bones crushed, and ashes scattered, was still a vivid memory. Moreover, the Qi family was once the first-ranked family. They hid away many important secrets. Who could conclude that Qi Xiujie's secret wouldn't have any impact on Dayan country? Thinking of this, Gao Lang had to concede. Prince Li ordered a replacement meal and left with a sigh. After the rebirth, Li Jintian's temperament changed greatly. In the last life, he was an incapable ruler. In this life, he'd completely skipped becoming sober and calm, turning into a suspicious tyrant. Whenever a courtier displeased him, he would wipe out their family, causing chaos in the imperial court. If not for the protagonist Shou being able to control him and also give birth to a brilliant son who inherited the throne and stabilized the country, the emperor's death would have probably led to Dalian's death. When he heard that Qi Xiujie had a confidential matter to tell him, he couldn't get it out of his head and finally paid the prisoner a visit. "What do you have to report?" Li Jintian dismissed his attendants and impatiently questioned. He looked handsome, with a graceful temperament, but his height was less than 6 feet, so he was apparently not the man he needed to find. Zhu Cheng's suspended heart dropped and he slowly opened. "Please look into my eyes, Your Majesty." His voice was very low and soothing, seemingly magical, making Li Jintian involuntarily look down when he was caught in an inexplicable black vortex. "Your Majesty, what do you see in my eyes? Is it not utmost sincerity? The Qi family was loyal to Your Majesty. Why does Your Majesty want to destroy the Qi family? Your Majesty is mistaken. Trusting the Gao family is like raising a tiger to invite calamity. Your Majesty is self-destructive." After planting a series of suggestions into Li Jintian's mind, Zhu Sheng waved him away. Then he adjusted the physical data of his body to optimal state, quietly waiting for tomorrow's arrival. Muddle-headed Li Jintian returned to Yangxin Palace and fell asleep. He had a dream. The dream was a scene from his last life. Soon after he was taken away from the palace by Prince Li and Gao Min, the head of the Qi family sent a few soldiers to rescue him, but they were unable to find his shadow anywhere in the palace. Seeing Xuan Wang's soldiers resolutely storming in, they had no choice but to retreat. A few days later, the head of the Qi family found his arrow-pierced corpse and wept bitterly as he secretly buried his body. Qi Xiujie submitted to Xuan Wang and used his stunning appearance and charming temperament to become the most favored concubine. But he never forgot his former husband. Not only did he secretly enshrine Li Jintian's memorial tablet, he also secretly poisoned Xuan Wang. Xuan Wang eventually died to the poison, and the head of the Xi family led an army to besiege the imperial city, killing Xuan Wang's children one by one, then placed Li Jintian's last descendant, whom he had secretly fostered in the Qi family, on the throne. On that day, the child ascended the throne. Qi Xiujie personally buried his bones in the imperial tombs, then hanged himself, committing suicide to follow his late husband. The death knell sounded, and the whole of Dalian waved with white banners to send him off. Li Jintian woke up from the shock. He recalled the dream, but it actually felt scarily real, as if his soul had really been bound to the cold and desolate palace, accompanying Qi Xiujie for 5 humiliating years. How did I recover lost memories? After his miraculous rebirth, the current Li Jintian had a strong belief in the supernatural. He held his forehead in thought, more and more bewildered. "Are you having nightmares? Then go sleep in one of the side chambers. I can't sleep either if you keep twisting and turning." Gao Min, who was lying beside him, woke up and impatiently asked. Before he died in the last life, he had vowed to never love Li Jintian again, so in this life his attitude towards Li Jintian was very cold. Li Jintian would have usually tolerated and pampered him without principle, but today, for some reason, he actually felt a little uncomfortable. He got up, dressed, and really went to the side chamber. He drank a cup of hot tea and let a palace maid massage his temples. Then he once again fell asleep. The dream scene changed from the previous life to the present one. In order to repay Gao Min for his loyalty until death, he treated the Gao family very well. Not only did he promote Gao Lang to Grand Yu, he established Gao Min as empress on the day of the last Longevity festival. He looked on as Gao Min walked towards him in the imperial court, dressed in splendid clothes. The courtiers simultaneously kneeled in congratulation. The red carpet stretched on and on, all the way to the bottom of the imperial throne. He smiled and stood up. As he was reaching out to take Gao Min's hand, the scene suddenly distorted and changed. He was dead, in transparent ghosts. The palace was decorated in white banners, and the servants and courtiers were kneeling in front of the palace, weeping bitterly. Inside the hall, Gao Min was standing in front of the huge coffin. His face held no grief or tears. Instead, he had a strange smile. Li Jintian felt a little frightened. Just as he was about to take a closer look, he saw Prince Li walk out from a side hall, hold Gao Min's hand, and sigh. The day we've been waiting for finally arrived. Gao Min nodded and slowly leaned on his shoulder, his expression overflowing with fatigue and relief. What is their relationship? What are they doing? What are you doing? How did I die? Tell me. Li Jintian wanted to grab the lapels of the two men and question them, but his hand passed through their bodies. Then he remembered that he had died again. For 2 lifetimes in a row, he suffered a dubious death. Panic and hatred swallowed him like a tide. He shouted as he woke up, then rejoiced as he realized that it was merely a dream. But the dream that lasted 2 lifetimes seemed so real that he couldn't stop shuddering every time he recalled it. Did I trust the wrong people? Could it be that the Qi family was innocent? Was Min-Er really having an affair with my younger imperial brother, and the two will join hands to plot against me? Li Jintian's head throbbed in pain. Seeing the chamberlain holding out his imperial robes and kneeling by his side, he quickly asked them, "What time is it now?" "Replying to your majesty, it's now 5 a.m. There are still 2/4 of an hour before the imperial court convenes." The execution was scheduled for 12:45 p.m. It was not too late. Li Jintian immediately made the attendant change his clothes and rushed to the prison.